So with all of that being said, let's welcome Daniel McKee with StratFit to the stage.
Hello, today I'm going to introduce the concept of strategic fitness, better known as StratFit. So who am I and why should you listen to me about fitness and technology? Well, I'm Daniel, the founder of StratFit, and I'm certified by Westside Barbell, that's the top powerlifting club in the US, as a special strength coach. I'm certified by USA Weightlifting, the governing body of Olympic lifting in the US, as a sports strength coach. And I have over 20 years in the field of personal training, training clients from all across the spectrum, from professional businessmen and women, to models, to actors, to serious athletes, to bodybuilders. So a little bit of the backstory of StratFit. The very genesis of StratFit came from my extensive study of the foundational texts of physical training science. The most important of those works are Super Training by Yuri Verkhoshansky, Managing the Training of Weightlifters by M.P. Laputin, The Science of Sports Training by Thomas Kurz, and The Science and Practice of Strength Training by Vladimir Zatsiorsky. By delving deeply into these works across a period of years, I came upon a big idea that someone could create an entire system of applied technoscience for physical training, and that has been my purpose in life ever since. So, a few of the problems that I think we could solve with this system of science. Well, when I was a rookie trainer, the main problem I had was I really didn't know what I needed to know. I didn't really know how to keep track of anything, and I didn't even know what I needed to keep track of. And that kept me inconsistent with my clients' performance. As I began to gain knowledge, I realized the problem for a lot of rookie trainers was going to be they didn't have enough time, and it was also very difficult just to learn all that information to practice it in the field, and there needed to be a better way to learn. As I became more experienced and had gathered a lot of knowledge, the problem I figured was going to be implementing all of that knowledge in real time in practice in the gym. It was not going to be possible, and I knew we needed a new form of technology to do so. And I also realized no matter how much knowledge that I gained, no matter how much my expertise expanded, I was always going to suffer from a lack of scalability. As a trainer, we're shackled to 8 to 12 hours of gym floor time per day to earn our income. And I thought, as serious scientific professionals, that we could do better. So let's look at the client side of the equation, or the trainee side of the equation, and what problems that we could solve. So for the average gym member, their problem with fitness right now is limited time and funds. In 2022, everyone is very busy. They only have so much time and money that they can spend on their health and well-being, and they need to get the most that they can from that output, and right now they're not. For elite athletes, the problem is unpredictable performance. Their entire careers depend on knowing when their preparedness will peak according to the training and a competitive schedule, and right now there's no integrated technology to allow them to do that in a precise way. So what is the solution? The solution is the training science super system. That super system is composed of two components. The first is StratFit Digital, which has two subcomponents. And the first subcomponent is what we call the training design drive on our website. That's where strength and conditioning coaches, personal trainers, and fitness influencers can design training and diet strategies. That's this right here, this image. And that's backed up by my system of science, which helped them to optimize all the variables as they designed the training strategy. And we then allow them to publish this strategy into our strategy store in our app. The app then connects their, what we call achievers, to the program. And that is their athletes, clients, and followers. And they can subscribe to those, and then the app will then train them in the gym using a system of artificial intelligence. So a little bit more on how the training AI works, the training app AI works. So pre-training, we take in the user's biometric data and their training level. And with this information, we can then estimate their training maximum from over 70 exercises and help them to choose the right training strategy based on their training stage and their training purpose. And the AI will then place all of their training maximums into the strategy to personalize it for that user. Once they're in the gym, the AI takes over and auto-regulates all the training variables in real time based on the user's moment-to-moment feedback as they train in the gym. And then post-training, we offer a detailed system of analytics to allow the trainee to know where they've been, where they're going, and to keep them motivated. Now, and just by using this whole entire StratFit digital system, rookie trainers will gain training knowledge simply by osmosis. So the second component area, I'm going to back up so you can see this. The second component area of the super system is our revolutionary catalog of training equipment. The first offering in that area is called the Power Training Arsenal. And the first component of that is the one I have here on stage with me. That's the explosive strength device. The way explosive strength works is fundamentally, you can lower a very heavy weight more than you could press up, say on the bench press. The way this device works, it hooks on the barbell. The lifter lowers a very heavy weight in the very bottom position. The device automatically unloads itself and all the weight that's on it, and this will cause an explosion out of the bottom position for the lifter, developing explosive strength. The second component is the acceleration strength device. That's the chains here you see hanging. Those chains gradually load back onto the bar as the bar is lifted, the links come off the floor. This makes the force accelerate. This causes a strength acceleration pattern in the nervous system of the lifter. That's the second component of physiological power. And this whole system is controlled by StratFit Digital, and it's designed and manufactured right here in Kansas City. Well, near to here. So sorry, I presented in Kansas City the first time, yeah. We're bringing this super system into a huge market that's also primed for disruption. When we look at the fitness industry revenue as of 2019, it stood at $97 billion and is growing at a rate of 3% per year. The fitness app market alone stood at $14 billion in 2021, but is projected to grow to a massive $120 billion by 2030. That will eclipse the entire fitness industry as a whole as of 2022. And a couple of very important metrics for us, as they will probably be our first users, is the number of trainers that we have here in the US. So by 2026, there's projected to be 330,000 personal training jobs in United States. And right now there's currently 14,000 serious strength and conditioning coaches employed. Those are the trainers, for sports teams, like, professional boxers and so on and so, or, professional sport teams, college sport teams across the board. We predict they will be our absolute first adopters because they will understand what we're doing here. When we look at the competitive landscape, as I see it, we have three top competitors right now. The first is Trainerize, and they're a trainee and trainer kind of connection app as well. And their strong point is they have a very good end user interface for the trainee in the gym. The second is Freeletics, and that's a calisthenics-based training app, and I think that's their strong point. You could train from home with no extra equipment, but that's also what limits them because you can only advance so far with physical training with bodyweight training only. And I think our most direct competitor is Train Heroic. They offer extensive variable prescription for the trainers, and this makes them, very valid for the experienced strength and conditioning coaches, our first adopters. So with that said, what sets us above? Well, what sets us above is the fact that we are the applied science of training, and everything that works is a product of technology and science. To illustrate that point, on this slide, I used what I would consider to be kind of the most primordial example of that, which would be ancient humanity using stones as tools and how this would evolve across time via the scientific method to the construction of the modern metropolis eventually right now. So all of our competitors lie somewhere along this evolutionary line, most of them kind of towards the right side of the top line, some of them towards the bottom side of the left line. But we believe that we can be the entire metropolis. So a couple of examples of how we're doing that. The first is we have come up with a much more rigorous way to define the physiological abilities and attributes that we train in training. That's in terms of the the textual definition and also the exact intensity and rep ranges that we use to train them in the gym. And our most fundamental concept that we're bringing that's totally new to the industry is that of the internal training load. That's a qualitative and quantitative combination of the intensity and amount of training. Up until now, those two variables have always been looked at basically separately, and that kind of kept a lot of confusion in the training programming world. We've combined them into one single value that will totally change the training programming game. So let's go look at the go-to-market challenges that I think that we're going to face. First is the fact that our first adopters, those serious strength and conditioning coaches that I talked about, they're a traditionally kind of stubborn professional demographic. They're very good at what they do, and people that are good at what they do are often somewhat adverse to change. Second is the fact that although we're coming into a huge market, it's currently crowded and probably getting even more crowded, so we're trying to elbow our way into a crowded space right now. And third is the fact that it's standard for industry players to use the term science. Everyone in the fitness industry, from supplements to training to equipment, everyone wants to say that they're scientific. We're the real deal, so how do we differentiate and stand above? And the last is somewhat related to the third. It's the fact that I'm bringing something totally new and revolutionary to the industry. And when there's new systems of science, new ways of doing things, new art forms, new technologies, there's always some friction in the initial part of the growth adoption curve. And we have to figure out how do we kind of, smooth that out so we can take off as fast as possible. That's probably our biggest challenge. Well, with all of that being said, I hope you found this informative, and maybe even more so, I hope you found it inspirational. Thank you for listening.
Do you guys have any questions for Daniel?
Oh.
So, how did you put all this together?
The presentation, or no, I did it. Yeah.
Impressive.
Thank you. Canva. I don't work for Canva, but I'll tell you. It's a really good thing. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
How do you see the future then of the local gyms? Is your goal to create the trainers that could go out and find a job?
It can go eventually. Yeah. I mean, probably we'll want to like certify our own trainers, but
you're not doing that now.
no, like,
Okay.
I mean, the StratFit Digital, what that is so on our website, a trainer can go, we'll accredit them to make sure, like, they have to fill out a form that shows that they're certified or whatever the case may be. And then we'll certify them to use what we call our training design drive. They can then use that to design training programs and then publish them. And then those become a subscribable, what do we want to call it, entity
Right.
within our system. And then users can use that all across the world. And then our artificial intelligence system auto-regulates the training variables for the trainer. So like somebody could be using the program in a whole other country with, and the guy the trainer doesn't have to be messaging them back and forth all the time. So not really. And then also the trainer could hold that, they could actually have that on their own version of the app and train their client in the gym. And then our system then would just become like a really good organizational tool for the training program if the trainer is going to use it that way. You know what I mean? So we're kind of, I know this isn't usually a good business practice, but we are kind of being everything for everyone, because fundamentally what we're bringing forward is a new system of science to help to organize everything better. And then a part of that is an artificial intelligence that helps to regulate it all better. So there's a lot of, that can be used in a lot of different ways as far as business goes, but no, I don't want to put anybody out of business, that's for sure. Anybody else?
Do you have a typical client, who would be your market?
Well, it's kind of like I said, because I think serious strength and conditioning coaches, I think, will be our very initial demographic to use the training design drive to make the programs. Then, of course, whoever they're working with, they would naturally immediately say, hey, look up my profile on StratFit, use my program. The reason I think that the serious strength and conditioning coaches will be first is because a lot of the terminology that I'll be using and so on, they already probably know. They probably studied a lot of the same stuff that I have. I think I just kind of synthesized it all more than anyone else up till now. So they'll kind of understand the lingo first. And then I think slowly we'll figure out how to kind of like, with each kind of level of experience of trainer, we'll figure out a communication to market more to them, and then they can come in. And the way I wanted to build the training design drive and the functionality of the app with it is in a way that, like how using Grammarly, it kind of improves your own grammar without you really real consciously learning a principle. It's like after you just see it a few times happen in Grammarly, you start doing that even when you're texting or even speaking. Well, I'm thinking we can do the same thing for like trainers with a lot of these higher training science concepts. If they use the design drive and they see the metrics that we're giving them kind of automatically in graphical form, and then they see how the auto regulation works in the gym, I think they'll learn a lot of those principles. That's why I said by osmosis. They won't really have to be taught this deep theory about that. They'll just see, oh, that's what's happening here, So does that make sense? Yeah. So yeah, I think we're going to be, for a lot of people, like I said, I don't want to put off a niche where just for serious strength and conditioning coaches. And because I think most physical trainers anyways are kind of somewhere on that road to being that anyway. So we need to try to work with everyone and provide value for everyone is what we're trying to do. Yeah.
How long have you been doing this, and how many subscribers or how many people do you have? Okay,
so I've been at this whole developing the concept of it. That's probably 10 years.
Okay.
And then I started trying to build the technology side of it about 2016. Now there's been a lot of misfires, I was doing a lot of mission creep with the tech team. I actually was living abroad at the time, working with a team there, and I had investors there. I was in the country of India, actually, because I was there training. I was training movie stars there, actually. So we started there. I was doing a lot of mission creep with the tech team, and it caused it to where we have a good app now. The training design drive that we end up with, it doesn't quite work. So right now I'm trying to get funding to rebuild the training design drive, and then I'm going to launch with the app that we have, and then we're going to slowly kind of expand the whole system into the whole entire vision. So right now we don't really have any, but I mean, my actual focus right at the moment, I'm kind of expanding your question here, but is this thing, because like I actually live in Harrisonville, so everybody here probably heard of Harrisonville. So the machine shop at Harrisonville is developing the set of them. So this was the pre-prototype. It's actually going to look slightly different. We improved the final version. So they're developing that, and then I'm going to start going to all the area colleges, hopefully the Chiefs and the Royals. I have a connection with Ringside Boxing, John Brown, who started that company. I'm going to go and show it to him as well. That's an equipment company. So I'm really going to try to focus on this because it's kind of more, it's tangible, and it's like I can get it done. I can go and show it. So I'm wanting to kind of build some momentum with the device, get some sales going, and then maybe we'll be able to hopefully fund the digital on our own, maybe. Or, it'll just get a lot of buzz going, because with the problem with the digital side, I find is that when I'm trying to tell someone who's not directly in the field, it's a lot to explain, and it's hard to get somebody excited about something that takes a lot of explanation, Whereas like with this, it's kind of like I can just go to the gym with one of my friends and I can be describing it. We hook that thing on the bar and he does a rep. Everyone's going to get what's the value, So that's kind of where it's going right now. Yeah, but conceptually, the whole, all the mathematical equations required to be behind the AI system and behind the programming sort of calculation system for the training design drive, that's all ready. I have already 5 very long white papers on it published on the website. So now it's just about getting the funding and getting the tech development going and all that. Yeah.
So how far down the road are you in developing your pricing structure for all of this?
I've got a business plan fully done. Again, it's tentative, but it's pretty much, as far as this goes, it's pretty straightforward. It's hardware, so I got my costs, and then right now the machine shop is still giving me the final data on their breakover points of, okay, if you order this many, it's going to reduce this much, and so on. So there's that. Now with the digital side, our plan is to let the trainer actually decide how much they want to charge for the program. And they can make a program of any length. They could even make what's called an Olympic cycle, which is a 4-year program on there. And then they sell that for whatever amount. And then once somebody buys that, they've now bought that program. Now they're going to train across, let's say, 4 years, and the AI is going to train them. Now, our model that we're thinking of right now is when the trainer sells that, Apple and Google are going to get their basically 30% out of that. Then there's 70% left. So we're planning to give 70% of the 70%, whatever that comes out to the trainer, and then we're going to keep the rest. So we're going for volume, basically. That's what we're looking at right now. And so because we figured that, let's say someone is the coach of the Olympic weightlifting team, or he's the strength and conditioning coach for the Chiefs or something. Well, they might want to charge a lot for their program because they have a very accredited, very marketable position. So whereas a trainer just starting out, they might have a really good program, but they don't have much recognition. So they might think, well, I just want to charge $10 a month, and do a monthly recurring program. So we're going to kind of allow all those options again. We're trying to kind of go to have something for everyone, basically, as far as the trainers go. Yeah. Sure.
Do you have any IP protections in place?
On this, I just got the patent. So I already filed the design and functionality patents, so both. Now, the problem is on the digital thing, you can't patent mathematical equations, because it's kind of I didn't invent math. You know, I come up with a certain equation or whatever, but I didn't invent that like calculus. So what can I do? So it's kind of like with that, you just kind of gotta be fearless and be like, I figure if somebody like wanted to rip me off, they probably, and they started reading my papers, they'd probably be like, well, better just to pay me and work with me than it'd be a lot harder to rip me off, you know, like it'd be a lot easier just to pay me and work with me. So I'm like, we'll see what happens, you know. I was very scared of that at the beginning. I remember thinking, oh, I've figured all this out. Someone's gonna scam me or rip me off. But then I was like, well, I only have so many years to live. I got to get it out there. You know what I mean? So.
Follow up on that, do you work with anybody to kind of vet through some of those things that, in other words, are you working with any mentors or consultants or attorneys?
I have a patent attorney who did the patent on that. I have a fellow who's on my board of advisors. He's a tech developer. He's done his own startup. We meet once a week. He's in Kansas City. He actually runs a place called Co-work Waldo in the Waldorf, Kansas City. So we meet there. He allows me to do my work there also. So I meet with him. You know, just talking. I wouldn't say that I have a proper mentor. You know, but I have people that I discuss all of that kind of stuff with. You know, yeah. If you have any, I mean,
I might know them all.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
I'll give you my card later.
Sure.
So are these like almost ready to sell, or this is all still prototype?
This is what I'm calling our pre-prototype, because I'll tell you, this one it's a very interesting story. So I had that idea in 2013. I just read about explosive strength, and I was like, okay, here's how that would work. You know, so I could tell you a little bit more about how this works. So this is going to hang from the bar. See, that's going to close. And there's a magnet right there, and that's holding that. That's what holds that. Well, then this is up. There's a stainless steel rod that's going through here, and that's how you adjust the height, like for the different lifter or the different lift. So what will happen is, it's a magnetic signal holding this back. Well, that's a stainless steel rod, and stainless steel is not magnetic. So right when they're lowering, let's say someone's squatting this right here, right when that touches the floor, that's going to slightly push that rod up in there, and that will kill the magnetic symbol or magnetic signal. Bam, it pops open. So, and then there's a wire connecting the two, so they both come off at the same time. And so I had that idea. So I drew it with a pencil, like just a sketch, you know, years ago, and I just kind of took a picture of it, put it on my Google Drive, and kept it there. And then I got kind of reconnected with one of my dad's very good friends, who's like a MacGyver kind of engineer. Like, he's unbelievable. When I was a kid, I called him MacGyver because he could just like give him a stick of bubble gum and a match, or give him a matchstick, and he could build a building or something, you know, like. So I met him, and I said, you know what, I always wanted to talk to you about this, and I told him about it, and he said, I think I could figure that out. So I sent him my drawing, and it looked exactly like that. And then he come back with an AutoCAD drawing, and then I said, yeah, let's start working on it. He had a shop at his house with manual machines and all. So he and I worked on it, and we built that one. And then by building that one, we realized the magnet wasn't big enough. It didn't have enough force to hold very much weight. And a few other kind of issues, like we needed a handle here, because this has to be like reloaded onto the bar after the set. So we needed a handle and a washer here and a few other things. A cover for the parts, you know. So we went to the machine shop in Harrisonville and took that one, and then they made a blueprint of that one, and then we said, here's the things that we think could be better. So we changed it. So right now, they hope they're gonna get me 2 of them, the set, sometime in June, I hope. Yeah, and then this is like a decommissioned missile container from the military. You can buy them some hardware stores and all. And I found the guy who's getting them directly from the military once they're getting rid of them, because they're just scrap metal to the military. But they water seal and all that, so they're perfect for this. And that thing fits in it perfectly. We can stuff T-shirts in there or whatever. And I just painted it and put my logos on it and everything, and welded a handle on it. So that's what we're trying to do. So I'm hoping to start demoing it. I want to demo it first at UMKC. Hopefully like around beginning of July. You know, of course, we got to get those back. We got to wire them, and then, you know, take them ourselves and see what happens, you know. So once it's good to go, I'm going to be all over the place with it. So it's pretty close, to answer that question, yeah. Anyone else?
I guess I can close it up with what can we do in
Well, okay, so I think you've heard what the whole deal is here. So if you know, like, if you know anyone who you think would have insight, could provide help, could partner, anything, let me know. You know, because like that includes tech people, that includes you know, people that are into you know, logistics of sales and all of that kind of stuff. Anything like that, you know, just let me know, because I'm all ears to people who know what they're doing. You know, so yep.
Very good. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Sure.